Hello, Mark. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Yeah, it's an honor to have you in our podcast, and we really appreciate your time and the insight you're going to share today. Hello, viewers. Welcome to Talk to Phoebe podcast, where we explore leadership, innovation, human potential, and the people transforming the lives and business around the world. I'm your host, Phoebe, and today we are excited to be with Mark Scherer. Mark is the founder and CEO of Encompass Life, a transformational coach, entrepreneur, speaker, and creator of Quantum Leap Technique. For more than 3 decades, Mark has studied consciousness, language, spiritual law, quantum physics, ultimately combining this discipline into a powerful coaching framework designed to help individuals and organizations create rapid and meaningful transformation. His client ranges from individuals seeking personal breakthrough to executive leadership team and Fortune 500 organizations looking to elevate performance and alignment and fulfillment. Mark, you're welcome to our podcast.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right, let's dive in. Mark, your story is incredibly inspiring. You went from struggling with severe stuttering and fear of public speaking to becoming a coach, speaker, and a leader. What was the turning point?
I was at a class and where I was taking, I got the bones of this system. I'm using the quantum leap technique for 'em. I met this guy about 18 years ago,
Mhm.
and I was in a class and I used the system, and I went from a stutterer to clear speech in under 10 minutes.
Mhm.
It's he was he was talking about now that you already have got through this, what's new and different for you. And so I said, I'm starting to I lead my own classes. And he'll say it again. Well, that was quite a stretch for me as a stutterer to
Mhm.
be able to say those words. I said them again about the third or fourth time I said it, and I was in tears, crying, sweating, because that was so foreign for the person who couldn't speak in front of a group of people.
Mhm.
But I just declared it and felt the words I was speaking, and they came true, like instantly.
So, what were some of the biggest challenges you had to overcome internally?
Internally, all the not conversations, like I can't do this, I don't want to do this, life's not fair, things shouldn't be this way. All those conversations or complaints. It was interesting. Stanford did a study. They said complaining damages the neurons in your brain. They said even if you're passively listening to somebody complains, it damages your neurons.
Wow.
So I like to simplify things. So in other words of saying that is complaining makes you stupid. And if you're hanging around with people who are complaining, it still makes you stupid too. So get out of those such situations and start speaking what you love rather than what you can have a complaint about what you don't like.
Awesome. That's very good. So, how did your personal journey shape your passion for helping others transform?
Well, as I started to go through this myself, and I ask my clients the same question or a version of the question you just asked me. You know, like if they have a lot of drama and stuff in their life, I'll ask them to say, you know, now that you got through this, now that it's been 5 years since you got through this, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Mm.
And every person I ask that question to, and every person I ask that question with, they say, I'm helping other people. So um, I think once somebody starts to get on this path and they start to do their own improvement and they get
Mhm.
out of their own personal hell,
Mhm.
that there's it's that burn inside to help other people as well.
Okay, awesome. So, your transformation eventually led you to study something that fascinates many people: consciousness. You spent over 30 years studying consciousness. How did you define consciousness in particular in practical terms?
This has a lot to do with self-awareness about the patterns, about the way I'm speaking, what I'm saying, what I'm actually saying. Most people, if you ask them a question, or a lot of people speak in labels, like what's going on the planet right now. There's a lot of people who are throwing out labels, racist, fascist, misogynist, whatever, all those labels. And if you ask them, what am I doing, or so somebody will ask them, what do you see this person doing
Mhm.
that's that has you come to spew this label.
Mm-hmm.
And their response is generally to get pissed. They can't answer that question.
Yeah.
So when somebody is conscious, they're able to answer a question you ask them. If somebody gets defensive, that's not conscious. And it's self-awareness, but beyond that, it's also to be able to master your own body chemistry. So either if somebody has if somebody a lot of times people will respond in anger. And when they respond in anger, one, they have no idea what they're spewing out of their mouth. And if you call them on it, like they'll deny it. So the and when somebody when that's when anger is owning that person. When anger owns that person, they don't know what they're saying, and then they'll deny it and all kind of things. When somebody is conscious, they're able to shift that feeling in an instant, and change and they have mastery over that stuff. If the pattern's owning them, the person's going to be wore out, have very low life energy, and if somebody masters those patterns, their energy's high, their effectiveness is high.
Okay. So why do some people repeatedly create success while others repeatedly encounter struggle?
Good question. So, four things: shame, blame, guilt, and hate. When people have a repetitive pattern they're staying in, it's always those four things that are holding that pattern into place.
Mm.
So rather than trying to shift the pattern, like say if somebody's struggling with money,
Mm-hmm.
what keeps them in that struggle with money or anything, alcohol, any of the alcoholisms or cheating or all those types of behavior, those
Mm-hmm.
four things are involved: shame, blame, guilt, and hate. So rather than trying to go to adjust the pattern
Mm-hmm.
with the glue that's holding the pattern into place, what we do here is we remove the glue and then the pattern falls apart very quickly.
Mm. Okay. So what role does language play in shaping our reality?
Language creates our life. When our thoughts, words, and feelings align, we have instantaneous manifestation. When when most people have their thoughts, words, and feelings aligned, and when they have the greatest amount of feelings, and when they're expressing the greatest amount of feelings is when they're pissed.
Mm.
And so when people will go, they let off that whole tirade from a place of anger,
Mm.
those words are actually shaping that person's life and shaping that person's reality. So what we do here is rather than having the person begin to shift their reality based on what they love rather than what they hate. And that's where the magic comes in.
All right. So can changing the way we think and speak genuinely change the outcome of we experience?
Yes, ma'am. Well, we do it the opposite way. We do it Most people work with thoughts, and they say when you change your thoughts, you're going to change your feelings. What we do here is we change feelings, which changes thoughts. So if I was to give you, Phoebe, if I was to give you a shot of tequila right now,
Mm.
say, hey, drink this shot of tequila, your thoughts would change like that.
Mm.
So it doesn't take a whole lot of chemical change for change of thoughts. So
Mm.
we do is show people how to master their own feelings, so they can shift their feelings and change their thoughts. Feelings are just a frequency you're listening to. It's like a radio station. And if you're sad, you're listening to the sad station. If you're happy, you're listening to the happy station. Pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
So, and most people try to alter the station they're in but they can't. You can't alter it from the station. You have to change the fastest way to do it is to change the biochemical makeup in your body, and then the thoughts change instantaneously, way
Awesome.
faster.
All right, that's great. So this discovery eventually led you to create your own methodology, the quantum leap technique.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. So what inspired you to create the quantum leap technique?
I have studied consciousness, like you said, you got me down for 30 years, but really it's going on 40 now. But
Mm-hmm.
I've studied consciousness for 40 years, probably the first 20 something years. Everything was in the positive, negative, good, bad, right, and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Wrong things, wrong. Think positive thoughts and don't think negative thoughts. Everything I was taking was like that, and I knew that there had to be a better way to do it. I majored in engineering, so I like to I can tell that something's out of place or something's and here's a way to improve a process or something. So that's just kind of how I work. And so I was taking all these classes and I knew there was something off. So I kept going, well, there's got to be something. There's got to be an easier way to do this. And about seven 7 years ago, I've been studying with a guy who I got some of the bones of the system from. about 15 years ago. I was studying with him, and he passed a number of years ago. When he passed, I started Encompass Life, and I liked some of his system, but I knew that there was upgrades to be made. So
Mm-hmm.
when I started Encompass Life, I did a lot of introspective, and brought forth this new system. But it's way, way, way faster. I mean, we some of the results we produce are amazing. Where I mean, we've
Awesome.
had people come in with Parkinson's who were shaking like this. Work
Wow.
with them 20 minutes, they go from this to this.
Wow.
We had a lady come in who had Parkinson's also. She couldn't drink out of a glass or a bottle because she would have busted her teeth out. She was shaking so bad. Within 3 weeks, she could drink out of a glass.
Wow.
So, the physical things is cool for the results in the system, but it's also what's really happening is a person's ability to give and receive love is growing exponentially. And what's healing people, it's not me. It's not some miraculous gadget.
Mm-hmm.
What it really was happening with people that's actually healing, they have a profound experience with love. And what's healing people is love.
Awesome. Yeah. Mhm. That's
I
awesome.
love this stuff. Phoebe, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I can see that. For someone hearing about quantum leap technique for the first time, what exactly is quantum leap technique?
Instead of so most people's lives will improve little by little. You kind of do like here's a graph. The quantum leap technique is where your life goes from this timeline to this timeline instantaneously, no travel in between. It's like in in it's quantum physics. In quantum physics, you have an atom and you have electrons going around the nucleus of the atom, right? Okay. So electrons can be in a lower orbit
Mm-hmm.
going around the nucleus, and they can get excited and they'll move from one orbit to the next, but they don't travel through the empty space. They just disappear in one orbit and they show up in the next orbit.
Mm-hmm.
So what a quantum leap technique is giving yourself the feeling of being at this new level, and instantaneously your life reflects it.
Okay. So you said your client often experience breakthrough in a single session. It takes months through other methods. Why do you think that happened?
Well, I know why it's happening because we've had neurologists test what we're doing here. We got papers published in the European Scientific Journal about what's going on. We got case studies. So what's happening is basically the person's getting their subconscious reprogrammed in a matter of seconds. The subconscious is what drives our behaviors, and whatever somebody's do, whatever's hap- whatever somebody is dis- whatever habit somebody is displaying in the world
Mm-hmm.
is based on something that they're saying inside themselves or something they feel inside themselves. If somebody reminds them of their dad and in a state of anger, and their response to anger as a kid was to shut down, then that's how the automatic response to them is. Somebody raises their voice, that person withdraws. So what we do is we're able to find those patterns and have the person consciously shift those patterns in a matter of seconds. So we deal with the root cause of the issue. And not only do we deal with the root cause, people say you got to get rid of that stuff, but what we do is rather than get rid of it, we find a way to what does it turn into, and we focus on the return rather than the getting rid of the anger or the resentment. Because once you go down that path, you're continuously getting rid of those things.
Okay.
So it's a way to transform it in an instant and it literally builds neurological pathways in seconds.
Awesome. Awesome. So what are some of the key components that makes quantum leap technique effective?
It's the same thing. We're dealing with biochemistry, so
Okay.
we're dealing with thoughts, words, and feelings, but we're dealing with the biochemical reaction to it. We have we have several diagnostic tools we
Mm-hmm.
use. There's body language that we work with. We have a system of body language so we can tell what's going on with the person emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
We have a system where we can actually take a picture of somebody's eyes and tell you everything about what's happening with you. You ever heard the eyes are the windows to the soul?
Yes, I've heard about that.
You heard about that? Yeah, me too.
Yes.
Growing up, I heard about that. Like that's interesting. And yeah, it's 100%. It's 100% true. I can look at somebody's eyes and I can tell you everything that's going on with them emotionally, what type of relationships they're having, what struggles they're having, what they're feeling, all that stuff, and shift it. It's like Myers Briggs or DISC test times 1,000.
Wow.
Way more effective.
Wow. That's awesome. So at the heart of your work is helping people overcome emotional barrier. So what role do emotions play in shaping our results?
80% of manifestation is feeling,
Wow.
and that's recognized. You can say and think all the right things, and if you're feeling something different, what's going to manifest is what you're feeling.
Mm,
Whatever whatever, if you're having frustration with your manifestation, you're having frustration with your life,
mm,
then there's frustration. You have frustration inside you, and
mm.
so you have to find what that is about. If you'll find the root cause of that and reverse it. So feelings are 80% of manifestation.
All right. You often reference the emotional guidance system. What is it?
It's feelings.
Okay.
I mean, your feelings are a preview of what's coming in your life if you're aware of them. Most people they're good here in the U.S. especially. If you feel sad, here's a pill. If you feel depressed, here's a pill. If you feel, if you feel anxiety, here's a pill. Well, all those feelings that they're giving you a pill for, they're making them wrong, as if that's some type of a wrong condition for us to have it, for us to have. But I believe everything's a blessing,
Yes.
and if you can quit making those feelings wrong, there's everything everything on the planet is information.
Yes.
If you're judging something, the intuition you won't have access to the information and the wisdom available. So
Mm,
you got to be able to be with that, and once you can be with it, you can find encyclopedias of information and anger.
mm,
And if once somebody can do that, can really sit with anger and find out all the information in it, now they have something that's highly valuable. How many people are walking out with anger and don't know what to do with it, right? Or trying to take a pill for it,
mm.
or whatever. But
Yeah.
once you can find the information, you can help meet somebody where they are and help walk them through it.
Okay. That's awesome. So how can people begin release limiting self-belief that control them for years?
Easily, super easily.
Okay.
So we have the quantum leap technique as a process to do that, and it deals with being able to find what the beliefs came from, what the be able to make them okay. Find out what they're what they're costing that person, what the payoff is for living for having, and to be able to choose a new belief. Like be able to choose what's really true. Most the belief systems that are limiting an individual are always based on a lie, and the lie they're based on, where the initial lie is they're based on a lie of I am not rather than the truth of I am. So most people walk around, I'm not good enough, I'm not this, I'm not that. And we start to find out what's true, and when people begin to interject what's really true in their system, all those belief systems begin to fall apart.
Okay. So, what is the biggest misconception people have about personal transformation?
That is hard.
Okay.
And why I say that is, yep, people go, wow, this is really really hard. And when people say that, yeah, this may be it may challenge you to do some new things or whatever. But what's really hard is staying where you are.
Mm,
Like as soon as you move, as soon as somebody creates a shift, I'll go. So we'd like to go back to where you were. No, why not? Because that was really hard. I go, when you were back there, you told me how hard this was going to be. Oh wow, no, this has way more ease in it. But we tell ourselves those lies to keep us in place. And one of the other big misnomers is a lot of coaches will say you got to get out of your comfort zone. I'm sure you've
mm,
heard that before.
yes.
Well, I don't believe that. And what I mean by that is the if you when you tell people you got to get out of comfort zone when they're miserable,
Mm,
they go, if misery is comfortable, what the hell am I getting into?
yes.
So it's not comfort. It's a familiar zone. So a lot of people are familiar with being miserable, and when they can have that distinction, and if you're just familiar with being miserable, they go, oh, you know what, you're right. I'm definitely not comfortable here. But
Mm,
wow, yeah, I've been living this misery life for years. My mother lived it. This misery is familiar in my family.
mm.
So once you can find what's really true and name it, it's really easy to start to move to get out of this stuff, to shift it.
Okay, awesome. So let's go to the next question. You've worked with executive, entrepreneurs, corporate teams. How do consciousness influence leadership effectiveness?
So whatever, I got something I'll read to you.
Go ahead.
Oh, so I've had this quote on my desk for
No
I
problem.
choose I choose to know 40 years, 30 years, 40 years, something like that. Leading organizations successfully today requires leaders to transform themselves personally.
Mhm.
New leadership literature shows a consistent correlation between personal leadership success and their level of self mastery. The greater their self mastery, the greater their success. And this was done by Mark Mickelson and John Anderson.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is if you have a leader who gets rattled, if you have a leader who lashes out at their team,
Mm.
those those things, those things exist in that leader. Those are personal traits that if the person gets squeezed, those things come out of them. So
Yes.
if somebody has a reactive personality, it destroys trust. It destroys teamwork. All those things are destroyed or diminished. They
Mm.
may work for that person as long as they're paying them well, but at some point in time, the paycheck, if they're if they're in a state of fight or flight while they're doing working with that company, they'll eventually leave. And you know what people leaving a company does to it? It destroys that company.
Yeah.
So it costs a lot of money.
Yeah. You're right. So, can a company outperform the consciousness level of its leadership team? Yeah.
No,
Okay. All right. Let's go to the next question. How can a leader create a culture that foster growth, innovation, and trust?
hobby.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, what role does self-awareness play in leadership success?
You know,
Yeah.
self-awareness, self-mastery,
Mm.
all those things. And when most so when people are reacting, so you know about the self-awareness,
Yes.
the when somebody is in a state of reactivity, like they may become aware that they have this reactive issue going on, and the reactions are always based on a trauma from their childhood or from their past. That was a painful experience for that person.
Mm.
And when they had that painful trauma, what happened was they surrounded that painful trauma with a whole bunch of statements with a lot of feeling, like we talked about thoughts, words, and feeling, and they
Mm.
said, they made statements like, "I shouldn't be here. I'm not good enough. I can't do anything right. I don't know what to do. Life's not fair.
Mm.
No one supports me, and whatever." And they made those decrees with a lot of they made those statements with a lot of feelings, and
Mm.
once they make those statements with a lot of feelings, it becomes true for that individual. They get to live them out again and again and again.
Okay.
So the self-awareness is, you got to see if those things are operating. You may be aware of it, but that's just the first step. A person's got to be able to replace it. What's the shift? What does it turn into?
Okay, awesome. You also bridge the world of science, spirituality, and business. Many people view business, spirituality, and science as separate domain. Why do you believe they are connected?
So it's not just science and business. I mean, this is what we're doing is talking about this really is about quantum physics, and
Mm.
it's not only quantum physics, but it's in a lot of different books. It's even the Bible is a quantum physics book. If
Mm.
you ever looked at the Bible, it talks everything they're talking about is really quantum physics.
Mm.
But whatever you know, you're talking about business. If somebody can be really successful in business and shitty in relationship, and they're still going to have a shitty life. And it's still going to affect their business. You know, no one is that good at being able to compartmentalize things.
Yes.
My analogy from how men compartmentalize, a lot of men will pride themselves. They go, "Oh, I can compartmentalize that. I don't take my problems to work." So here's how they do that. Imagine if you have a punch bowl. You know
Mm.
what a punch bowl is? With
Mm.
with juice,
Yes.
and you have some turds floating around in the punch bowl.
Okay.
Turds.
Mm-hmm.
And you take a piece of cheesecloth and you strain the punch bowl and you put all the turds in the cheesecloth and you get them out of the center of the punch bowl and you put them up against the side of the punch bowl, but you keep drinking out of the punch bowl. That's
Yes.
how most men compartmentalize things. You can't hold when you hold things in. It's either good. you may not tell anybody about it at work, but it's still eating that person up. It's going to affect their relationship. It's going to, if their relationship goes too far south, all the money, half the money they made at work going to go to the ex-wife. If
Mm.
if they keep holding on to it and they don't divorce the ex-wife or they don't divorce the wife, holding all that stuff in affects their health. So then they'll either give the money to the ex or they give the money to the doctor or they give the money to the lawyer, something. But it's still affecting that person's success in life. You can't live your life in a compartment. You either love your life or you hate it. There's no if there's any hate in there, you got to find it and bring all this stuff into fruition to bring to have all areas of your life grow.
That's very good. So, what misconception do people have about manifestation and personal transformation?
I guess they believe. I guess when people come in here, they believe the life's happening to them. I guess that could be a misconception, and they believe they've had a lot of trauma in their life and a lot of painful things that have limited them, and they believed that if they try to get away from their pain and their crap that they've had in their lives, and somehow or another that's gonna cure everything. But that doesn't work. You got to go into all that thing. I'm a big believer in the term holy shit, and the bigger the shit, the greater the holiness. In other words, everything that's been crap in my life is if when I had the courage to go into it, I found a gold nugget in it all.
Okay. All
So
right.
that's what I that's for 50 it took me 50 years to be able to see that.
All right, great. How can leaders embrace the idea while remaining grounded in the practical business reality?
The question would be how can you not embrace it and do if you don't embrace the idea of transformation, you won't be in business. Everything on the planet grows or dies.
Mm-hmm.
So you're either growing and you're either moving into greater and greater levels of effectiveness or you're dying. If you're if any what I what I've noticed is let's say if somebody's if you have a worker
Mm-hmm.
and let's say you have two workers. One worker's really competent and they hate what they're doing,
Mm.
or you have another worker who really loves what they're doing but they're lacking competency.
Yes.
I'd rather work with a worker who loves what they're doing and lacking competency and train them
Yeah.
to because that person who has the skill sets but hates what they're doing is
Mm.
going to fester and poison everybody in that office.
All right. We are now entering an era where technology is reshaping human experience. As AI becomes more integrated in our lives, how do you see it affecting personal growth?
Well, AI doesn't have a soul. It doesn't have feelings. All it does is gather information based on the internet or what's out there or whatever they allow it to get. So it's
Mm.
still based with a certain set of algorithms, a certain set of parameters.
Mm.
So it's limited to what it can do. It may be able to take a bunch of papers and put them together and come up with its own algorithmic opinion.
Mm.
However, that is still lacking the humanness of the beauty of uh, of what humanity is really about. So it's a tool, and so far as it taking over, only if humanity willingly dies, willingly kills itself. In other words, willingly gives its life to AI.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Awesome. So the next question is, how do we balance technological advancement with emotional and spiritual growth? Mhm.
The emotional spiritual growth technology doesn't do emotional spiritual growth for you.
Yeah.
That's an inside job. Always is. Always will be. It's always going to be dependent. It's always going to be in relationship to what your relationship is with life, not
Mm.
what your relationship is with AI. And when I'm talking about life, I'm not talking about little L life. I'm talking about capital L life. So what ha- what really has somebody, AI is a tool you can use to proofread a paper, to come up
Mm.
with a new way of doing things, to take something and bullet point it, to hey, go out and search something for me, bring it back to me. But the individual using the AI is still responsible for their own emotional and spiritual growth. The
Okay.
AI can't replace it because it's neither of those things. It's just a tool, like I said, and if somebody you know begins to trust AI rather than themselves, well, they're missing the beauty of life.
All right. Awesome. That's very good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ultimately, your work is about helping people become the best version of themselves. What drives your mission through Encompass Life?
Pain.
Okay.
And what I mean by that, once I started doing this and started to realize how much ease you can have in life and what actually loving life is about.
Okay.
Anytime I go, anytime I don't do this, I
Mm.
experience pain.
Okay.
It may not be as much as I experienced as a kid, but I'm more every time when people go to a whole nother level of ease in their body.
Yes.
Well, when they before they had that place of ease, they were acclimated to a certain level of pain.
Mm.
So once they go to that state of ease, if they try, if that they go try to go back to that level where they had pain that they were suppressing, that
Mm.
pain now becomes glaring.
Okay.
So pain is a wonderful motivation. People make pain wrong, but I think pain is a huge blessing.
Okay. Awesome. So, what gives you the greatest fulfillment in your work?
So what gives me the greatest fulfillment in my work is
Mm.
I love when somebody's eyes sparkle.
Okay.
A lot of time when people come into class, oh, life is so hard. My husband's leaving me, my wife's leaving me, my dog just died, whatever. All this stuff, and and they're they're hunched over and and even somebody who's maybe a successful businessman like that. Hey, my business is great, but oh my God, I'm working so hard and I don't have any work-life balance, and my wife, I'm losing my wife and my kids, and all of a sudden they'll have an epiphany and their eyes will go from that. And man, I love seeing that spark come back in somebody's eyes. I'll do whatever it takes to see it. I love it so much.
Okay. Awesome. What impact do you hope Country Leap Technique has on future generation?
Great question. So we have a lot of so that's like I can answer it both ways. So if somebody if you had a maybe like a great grandparent
Yes.
who had to and they moved from they were into one of the great wars or something, right?
Mm.
Like some people in slavery, some people all the traumas that can get passed down, that can experience from lineage. So you know if that person, if that individual doesn't find the blessing in that happens in that situation, and
Yeah.
I'll give you another way of saying of understanding this too. If I took if I took 20 people
Hmm.
and I put them up on stage, and I walked up to each one of them. I slapped each one of them on the
Mm.
same side of the face with exactly the same force.
Mm.
How many different reactions do you think I'd get? 20, right?
Hmm.
How many people up there that each respond differently, right? Probably,
Mm.
right? So it's never about what's happened in that person's life. It's always about what that person makes up about what's happening that determines the effects of how of the trauma of that incident. Somebody could go, "Wow, I'm so glad this happened, and now I got this, and now I can live my new life," and they turned that trauma into a blessing.
Mm.
So what we're doing here is we're taking people and we're working with those people, and like maybe one individual in your lineage may be able to take a trauma and turn it into a blessing.
Mm.
Wonderful. But what we're doing here is we're showing people a system to be
Yes.
able to take things that would normally be a trauma and turn them and find the blessing in it very, very quickly. And what these people are doing is they're taking this technology we're using and they're sharing it with their kids. So
Okay.
now the kids have this. They have instead of the whatever the experience is, like, wow, here's a tool set my pap taught me or my grandpap taught me, and they take those tools and to me what those tools are is really is the gift of presence,
Okay.
not not a gift with a bow on it, but capital PRESENCE. there, so there it has them have that gift of presence, and they pass that gift on within their lineage. So we have people who are coming in, and their relationship with their kids change, their relationship with their parents change, relationship with their grandparents change, their relationship with their grandkids. All those things, all those people begin to change because they're sharing this gift with them.
Awesome. The final question. Mark, after decades of studying consciousness, helping people transform and develop the quantum leap technique, what is the most important truth you've learned about human potentials?
It's whatever you believe it. You know, we've had. Remember somebody broke the 4 minute mile. They said that wasn't possible.
Mm.
And I said, no way can somebody break the 4 minute mile, and they did. And then once that person broke the 4 minute mile, a bunch of people came out afterwards. Somebody somebody just broke the. I should remember. I think I think they just did a marathon. They just did a marathon in under 2 hours.
Okay.
So they said there's no way somebody could do that. And they now they did that. Watch how many more people are going to break that. I mean, that's like they're sprinting the whole time.
Mm.
So human potential is based on what people believe it to be. That's why we have a lot of breakthroughs showing up in classes.
Okay.
But we do classes, and why we do that is because I could just do one-on-one coaching, and I had a lot of people request one-on-one coaching with me. However, I say come to a class because the magic in the class is when that person can see somebody else go through and have a breakthrough, and somewhere inside their feeling world they go, "Wow, if that person can do it, I can do it." So there's always going to be people who are leading first, and they're going to set new standards, new new realms of possibilities, and then there's going to be people who are like, well, if they can do that, what can I do? And that's what the beauty of humanity. One of the things which was beautiful about humanity.
Okay. Mark, thank you for sharing your incredible insight and journey with us today. One of the biggest takeaway from this conversation is that transformation isn't waiting for. It's about when we shift our consciousness, we change the lens through which we experience life, and that changed everything. So,
Yeah,
to everyone listening, thank you
yeah.
very much.
And one
That
more
was
thing,
all right, sir.
have the courage to do what you love.
Okay. Thank you very much,
You're
sir.
welcome.
And to everybody, thank you for now and bye. And at the end of the day, I'm going to put Mark's information at the description box by the time we post the video. And feel free to contact Mark for his practice and learn more. So until then, bye everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, Mark.